Recording in progress.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting us, we had a late ending on our general counsel board training tonight, so thank you very much. For those who are with us here in the room and with us virtually, I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to our regular meeting for the Board of Trustees. Today is Monday, February 13th, 2023, and the time now is 6:15, and I will call to order the regular meeting of the Town of Mead Board of Trustees. In accordance with the town's disaster declaration dated March 21, 2020, related to the COVID-19 virus and the town's emergency electronic participation policy for regular and special meetings, this meeting will be held virtually in Zoom. Virtual access information, including the Zoom meeting link, has been provided on the town's website and at designated posting places. I'd like to remind everyone both present with us in person and virtually of the town's general guidelines for the public comment at open meetings and public hearings. Copies of the guidelines are available in the back of the room and are also available online. There are 2 public comment opportunities for you tonight on the agenda to address the board on any subject, whether it is on the agenda or not. Mary, roll call, please.
Mayor Whitlow. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright.
Here.
Trustee Adams.
Here.
Trustee Broadhead. I'm not sure if that's Trustee Broadhead. Is that Trustee Broadhead online?
Yes.
There she is. Yep. Thank you.
I'm online.
Thank you, Trustee Broadhead. Trustee Harris.
Yes.
Trustee Parr.
Yes.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow, today is Monday, February 13th, 2023, and you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Please join me in a moment of silence for our school resource officers who keep our children safe every day. I thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate the sorrows that we have for our town and for our community. And please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move on to number 4, which is a review and approve agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as is?
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
You roll call, please.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead.
She's gone. She
Yes, we
disappeared.
lost her. We submitted her. Trustee Parr.
Yes.
Trustee Harris.
Yes.
Trustee Adams.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. We have an agenda for this evening. Next is our staff report by our town manager. Helen, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees. You have my report. Sorry, I kind of lost my voice. I was in Vegas for a Super Bowl party, but everything's fine. Kansas City is the winner. I wanted to just talk briefly to the board and anybody listening about the various traffic work zones that are in place. I mean, if you start on the south end at 66 and County Road 7, as you know, what's going on there is they're putting that open irrigation structure into a box. And ultimately, the best thing that's going to happen there is we'll have a platform to be able to put the new signals in. That's all part of the precursor to both the Mead Place development and the intersection improvement that will be a real mast arm which I think, particularly knowing we have people from the schools here, they'll be thrilled about that, because once you get that type of mast arm in there, it's real obvious there's a signal. Because sometimes, I was just through there today, people, I just don't think they see it, because it's not as massive as like the other ones, so, that's exciting that that's coming. And then as you go north, I'm sure all of you are aware that we're under like perpetual construction from, and essentially what's going on along 3rd Street is the undergrounding of the overhead utilities. And it's complicated because they have to get all the undergrounding in before they pull the poles down. And so there's lane drops all over the place. They're doing a very nice job with it, but I'm sure people are impatient. And then on top of it, we have Xfinity doing a few things, and over President's Day weekend, we're gonna have significant lane drops around Xfinity while they do some infrastructure improvements. So, I know it's unnerving, but this is really gonna be going on, I hate to say it, it's like for probably 18 months. There's gonna be disturbances of one kind or another. We'll try to keep everybody aware of it. We try to keep the schools aware. The big thing that's gonna happen this week, finally, I believe, is the signals are gonna be turned on at the interstate. And so they'll flash for 48 hours and then they'll go live. So if you're driving over there, be super careful, because people aren't used to signal controlled intersections. So if they're just like zoning out, listening to tunes, they may fly through and not see that. So I think the police will be on alert, but usually it takes a couple weeks to completely train your behavior when it comes to when you change something from a stop controlled intersection to signals. So, I just say that because, you know, we don't wanna see anything happen, even fender benders and, even worse, so. But that's all I wanted to embellish on my report. If anybody had any questions?
Questions, comments? Deb, I see you back on. Deb, do you have any questions or comments for Helen?
No,
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, Helen, for your time. All right, next is our first informational item for the night. Our superintendent from the St. Vrain Valley School District, Mr. Don Haddad, is here tonight. Thank you, sir, for joining us, and we are happy to have you here and look forward to hearing all about the great things happening in our wonderful Mead schools.
Well, thank you, Mayor Whitlow, I appreciate it. Trustees, thank you for having me this evening, I appreciate your time. Now, I'll give you just kind of a brief overview. I also want to recognize Sarah Horanek, who is our board member that represents Mead. Obviously, she represents the whole district, but in particular, the Mead area. So she's here too as well. If you want to say anything at any point in time, just let me know. But we are currently at about 33,000 students, and we continue to grow. We're one of the few school districts in the area. If you follow the news much around schools outside of St. Vrain, you'll see many of the school districts are closing schools at a pretty fast pace. You see in Jeffco and Denver and Northland, some in Thompson. And it's an unfortunate trend, but it's one that's pretty prevalent. We're on the other side of that coin, and we continue to grow by hundreds of students, and that growth will continue to accelerate. So our build-out plan is for 75,000 students. So we're at 33,000 now. We have the 411 square miles, and we serve Niwot and Lyons, and obviously Mead and Frederick and Firestone and Dacono and Erie and Niwot and Longmont. And within those boundaries, there are just a lot of areas for growth, and so we're going to see that fast and furious. We have recovered any of the losses that we experienced over the pandemic in terms of kids who may have moved out temporarily or whatever, so we feel pretty good about that. We have also experienced, oddly enough, you hear a lot about learning loss with the pandemic, but we had a different reality. We ended up with our highest third grade reading scores since they started the CMAS standardized testing. We also did the same with our 5th grade math scores, went way up in our 8th grade math scores. And then we saw at the high school level, or we saw the ACT, or the SAT, excuse me, we used to take the ACT, we saw the SATs continue their trajectory in the right direction. And the PSAT, which is the practice exam that qualifies students for National Merit Scholarship. We also have seen our concurrent enrollment numbers, kids taking college level courses, while they're in high school increase by over 400%. And we've seen our trade programs, so whether it's machining or welding or electronics or optics or automotive or culinary arts or nursing or printing trades, all of those programs have literally doubled in course requests, and it went from almost 3,000 to 6,000 course requests. So that's booming, as is our innovation center. The number of courses that kids are enrolled in there is pretty exciting. We also have the highest graduation rate that we've had in the history of our school district. We have the highest graduation requirements, which there's 178 school districts. And so if you look all across the metro area, you'd think everyone has the same requirements, but they don't because of local control. And so we have the highest graduation requirements. So you might see Boulder Valley next door to us, and they require 22 credits to graduate with 2 years of math and 2 years of science, whereas we require 24 and a half credits to graduate with 3 years of math and 3 years of science and 4 years of language arts. So they're very different, and ours are more rigorous, but we still hit 92.4% for our graduation rate this past year, and that's an on-time graduation rate. That's the 4-year cohorts. As far as our dropout rate, it's below 1%. And so you'll find that 99.2% of our kids are on track to finish. It's just may take some of them 4.5 years versus 5 because of the courses they take, or some of them may have to have a job. But either way, those are excellent numbers, and our teachers and our students and our parents who support their students should be very proud, because those numbers are off the charts in terms of Colorado and beyond Colorado. We also have, experienced a lot of corporate and business sponsorship. I serve on the Colorado Business Roundtable Board of Directors, and I work on the Board of Directors for the Economic Development Councils and various chambers around. And we have right now close to 190 business and corporate partners, from the largest in the world, the Apples, the Boeings, the IBMs, to the moderate size, to some of the local community businesses. And they have provided mentoring for us, internships, apprenticeships, lots of partnering with a lot of the opportunities for our kids. We have the advanced manufacturing program, where our students will take 2-year certificate programs, get their certificate while they're in high school, and then go out into the workplace making $60,000 or $70,000 a year without any debt. And we also have the P-TECH program, which is grades 13 and 14, which is a 2-year associate degree program. And it's free to the students. When I say free, it doesn't cost the students anything, and they can earn their associate degree in computer information systems, biomedical studies, cybersecurity, and we're opening up a 4th one in business. And that's in partnership with Ames Community College and Front Range Community College, and then various corporate entities. And so from preschool all the way to 14, our kids are getting a phenomenal education. And in large part, we have our community to thank for that, because we were able to keep moving forward through the pandemic, because back in 2008 we passed a mill levy override. In 2012 we passed one, and we passed 2 bonds, and the combination of all that money is really over $1 billion in extra resources that our community has provided for us to build new schools, add new programs. And the 2 mill levies are on fixed mill levy rates, so they don't sunset. So we have that revenue stream that comes in all the time. We also have now 216 robotics teams, and we have 60 schools, so you can imagine there are multiple teams. And we were, last year, the first time it's ever happened, world champions. They had held the competition in Texas. We were world champions in the large division and the small division. That's never happened in the competition, and there's like 63 countries that are represented. And so St. Raymond, we were very proud of winning the world championships. We also recently won the world championships in artificial intelligence competition, and we're always in the top realm for cybersecurity, the Cyber Patriots program. So our kids are doing really well in robotics and all of those programs. In the last 2 years, we've had the highest percentage of state championships in athletics for any school district in Colorado, both for individual state championships and team state championships. So our kids are excelling in athletics as well. And then in music, for the last 2 years, we have been in the top 15% of all music programs in the country, the only school district in Colorado to be recognized for that. And an example of why is, like, this year we have the most number of middle school kids who earn all-state choir status, and we'll be performing down at Buell Theater. And Same thing with our high school choir, and there's all-state orchestra students, and have debate competitions, theater competitions, all kinds of things that our kids are just really, really doing well. And so it's a long-winded way of saying thank you. I think our biggest challenge right now, we have a couple. One is always school safety, and I appreciated your recognizing our school resource officers. You know, we faced a lot of pressure from certain parts of our district to eliminate the school resource officer program, and I was very adamant that I would never support that as a superintendent. You know, I was in Cherry Creek when the SRO program first started in Colorado, and it was on the heels of the Summer of Violence in the early 90s, when they saw violence in the community spilling over into the schools on a regular basis. And so they piloted the school resource officer program, and then also cameras inside of the buildings to address some of the issues. And I have lived through the most serious of incidents when I was in Cherry Creek and other places, to where I would just never feel comfortable doing that. And I think sometimes, you know, things happen and you get politically pressured to do something, a knee-jerk reaction, but I would never support removing our SROs. They're phenomenal. And you know, the thing about it is, sometimes people talk about, well, you know, police and schools, these individuals are very special people. They mentor our students. You know, they have lunch with them. They're in the halls with them. They go to the football games with them. They go to the music performances with them. They talk to the students. The students want them there. So, you know, but safety is always top of mind, because we just know there's a lot of things out there that can come into the schools from the community. So we do our best, both from a physical plant and also personnel. And we've also added counselors. We have increased our counselors significantly, so we're trying to address the mental health along with the facility, along with law enforcement. So it's a comprehensive package for school safety. And our other significant challenge right now is growth. And we probably will go for a bond in 2024. That's a couple of years away, but we start laying the foundation. Now, we have gone for 2 other bonds that have passed, and one of the things that we're glad that we've done is we've paid down our debt much sooner than we were expected to. And the combination of paying down our debt plus the assessed valuation within the entire 411 square miles has increased significantly. Oil and gas and residential. In this next 2-year cycle that's coming up, we're going to see not only the new construction come through, but we're going to see the existing construction plus oil and gas plus new construction. So we anticipate another bump. But with all that assessed valuation growth and paying down our debt, we could conceivably go for approximately a $600 million bond without raising anybody's rates. And so that's kind of what we're looking to do. We don't believe that will change significantly between now and 2024, but it's a presidential year. So we'll be talking to you more about that, and that will include some additional schooling out here. We're going to have to build more schools. We don't know if we're going to build another large elementary and a middle school, or we maybe build a K-8, another large K. We're not 100% sure. We'll be getting feedback from our community, but we will definitely be doing that. And then the high school has the capacity to put another wing on it if we need to. So we've got that. And then the new elementary school that we built here is, you know, as you know, outgrown itself already. So that's our plan. We're also going to have to build a school, maybe 2, in the Erie community, and we're going to have to bolster in the Frederick area. We just purchased a 73-acre piece of land to build a new high school, but it will serve Mead, it will serve Frederick, and some of the Firestone area as well. So it's going to be a new high school with a swimming pool. It will have a career and tech ed program in it, similar to the one that we have in Longmont, with all of those programs that I just mentioned to you will be out here on the east side of the district as well as on the west side, because we're getting that kind of energy around it. So that's it, and we'll probably build out our innovation center because it's outgrowing itself as well. And then we'll do all of the traditional renovations around HVAC systems and carpets and paint and roofing and all of that. But it's important to us, we try to go and keep it at about 600 million. And again, that could change, but I don't think it'll change dramatically. But that would be a way of saying to the community, we can do all this without raising your mill rates. And so if your taxes go up, it goes up because your house value went up. And that would happen with or without us going for a bond. So we wouldn't be doing anything to do that. I could go on and on and on, but I guess I'll just stop there and see if you guys have any questions, or Sarah, if you wanna say anything.
You've done a great job. I'm always fascinated by all of it at once, but I'll listen to the questions and then we'll.
Questions, comments?
Do you wanna listen to see if anything is here?
Let's not public comment, period, for him.
I was just gonna say, I appreciate all the info and what a marvelous job you've done. My son graduated last year, absolutely loved it, so, yeah, just did a phenomenal job.
Congratulations, that's great.
Dawn?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sarah, thank you for coming. We appreciate both of you. We appreciate the district, the collaboration that we work together. And it's just amazing how many students we have that just love to go to school. I mean, my kids went through this St. Brain system, and a lot of our parents up here have children go through the system too. So thank you very much. I would invite you to, we're going to have a proclamation for the SROs here in just a second. Invite you to have some cake with us and, join us for celebration for our SROs. So.
Well, I will stay for the celebration, I'll pass on the cake. And I wanna thank you as well. I visit the schools out here all the time, and all of the principals have told me, and I feel it too, Mayor, you and the trustees have been very supportive, and I appreciate our partnership, and thank you for everything that you guys are doing as well.
Thank you, John, very much. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Can I ask one thing that is constantly brought up
Sure.
in our area? Love the schools. I have 6 kids that have gone to these schools, so
Alright.
I love the schools here. We moved here because of the schools. But one of the biggest complaints that we get is the traffic flow around the elementary school and the middle school. And I know you guys have tried to address that when you did the new building, as far as like you took away the left turn lane because it was backing up into the intersection back here and stuff. But we've talked about, it's been brought up to potentially put in right turn lanes on the south side of that road from the elementary school going westward to a little ways past the middle school, and that would really help to help facilitate the flow of traffic, because people park there and they're waiting to pick up their kids for sometimes 45 minutes to an hour before the school's even let out. People are lining up to pick their kids up, and it really can impede the flow of traffic, like through the streets, the old town streets. People will line up on those streets and just be parked there essentially for half an hour or more, while they wait to pick their kids up. Is there any thoughts or plans to potentially better the flow of traffic in those areas?
Yeah, we have that problem in schools, I won't say everywhere, but in a lot of places, and I don't mean just in St. Brain. And I can share with you stories when I was dropping my daughter off, I was waiting in line for 45 minutes at the high school, not in St. Brain, in a different school district. It was a long time ago. And so it's a very common, it doesn't mean it's a good one, and it doesn't mean we don't do anything about it. It is a problem, and a lot of it has to do with schools usually outgrow their capacity before the next school is built for financial reasons. And so parking, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes in elementary schools, and we put up signs that say, please hug your child and tell them how much, let them have a great day before you stop your car and sit there for 5 minutes hugging them and loving them, which I say that with all due respect because I did it as a parent, but there are ways that we can move that traffic quicker, and we try not to say it abruptly because we love the fact that parents are hugging their children. But so that's one thing. The other thing is we are planning in the next year just to create a little more classroom space, maybe with a modular temporarily until we get the new school open. So I'd have to check with our operations team to see exactly. I've got a sense of what you're talking about, but not a good enough sense to be able to respond. But what I would say is, if there's any conversation that you'd like to have about that, if you call, I can set up a meeting with Brian Langer, and then our operations and maintenance team can look at what you're thinking about to see if there's anything temporarily we can do. We also, have put teachers out there and staff to help direct, but they don't feel comfortable either saying, let's go.
Move along.
It's kind of thing.
Crack their whip,
So
right?
it is a challenge for sure, and I actually was talking to Betsy about it before I came over here. So we'll keep looking at it, but yeah, if you wanna call and have that conversation to see if there's anything temporarily.
I mean, I realize that people lining up to pick up their kids is inevitable, it's going to
Yeah.
happen. But I feel like we could make, and I'm sure there are times where there's nothing you can do. But I feel like this is something that could be done to make that situation a little better, to make it a little more tenable. I mean, obviously, the schools aren't going anywhere,
Yeah.
and neither are all parents picking up their kids and stuff. So I would love to see something that can, since I feel like it could be made better, it would be nice to
Well,
see
you know,
if
if
there's
it
a
can-
possibility of it.
Yeah, if it can be made better, we'll definitely look at it. You know, the reason I'm always guarded in terms of responding is because just as soon as I say it can be made better, Brian Lehman will tell me, well, actually, there's mines out there, and we can't dig that deep, or it's something.
Okay.
I'm not saying they're gonna say that. I'm just saying I've learned over the years that I don't say, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do it, until we get the people together that know how to build roads, and I'm not one of them.
Right,
So,
right.
but I do appreciate your, you know, I was at, getting my emissions test done today on Airport Road. And I sat in line for an hour and I was like, do I lower my window? Do I start honking? So I get your I mean, I'm not patriotic, I really get your frustration. It's just sometimes we're just trapped, you know, and we can't do anything about it, but we'll take a look at it.
And he mentioned multiple drop-off pickup places, and for the elementary school, they do, part of the 4th and 5th pick up in the middle school parking lot, and then the other ones pick up in the elementary school parking lot. So they did try to split it. One of the other things that's been brought up as a potential solution, and I don't even know if this would even be remotely possible, but I thought I'd mention it. Staggered start and or pickup times in the afternoon. Because I will say, on an afternoon at the middle school, when they've got a basketball game or, you know, an after-school activity going on, oh, it's so much worse picking up in that parking lot. I don't know if that's a possibility to try to stagger them a little. I realize that's a lot more complicated probably.
Well, it gets complicated with teacher contracts and schedules when they teach from what time to what time.
Okay.
You know, cause if like the 4th and 5th graders started later, they'd have to go later, you know, in the day to get the instructional minutes in for the state requirements. So it's always like, you know, this triggers this. But I think, what makes sense is to take a look at it and see if there's anything short-term or if there's anything longer-term with roads.
Dr. Haddad, one thing I did want to mention, and this is a long-term vision of our board, is to really make a better opportunity for biking and walking for families and students. So we have the intersection of Welker and 3rd will be under construction in about 12 months. It'll have a signal, and the goal is to have a walking path from County Road 36 all the way to the high school is the goal. But the short term will be from County Road 36, basically to the grade school and middle school. So one thing I think we'll be looking forward to is working in partnership with the schools to raise the awareness of that biking and walking could be a way to alleviate the source of some of the congestion.
And we thought, Betsy and I talked about as the winter subsides, hopefully it'll get a little better this spring with people walking. And then she also is doing something around a carpooling project, trying to get parents who live next to each other to maybe carpool a little bit. So I mean, there's conversation around it, but it's a challenge, for sure.
I'm sure busing is also a challenge right now, keeping bus drivers and stuff, but that's also an issue for me. Like my kids used to ride the bus because they used to get picked up at 8:35, get to the school, started at 9. Now the bus picks them up at 8 a.m. and I'm like, I'm not having my kids sit on a bus for an hour when I'm 5 minutes from the school.
Yeah.
And I know that that's
Yeah,
that's
changes.
part of staffing issues. I know lots of school districts are having problems with keeping bus drivers
I
and
think
stuff.
it's more born out of size, because we actually have a good team of bus drivers. You know, when we hit the pandemic and kids were learning from home, a lot of school districts laid off their bus drivers and their nutrition services folks. So we kept all of ours employed and had them helping in other areas for a couple of reasons. One, we had budgeted for it, and we didn't feel like it was fair to create an unemployment situation for them because of a pandemic. And two, we knew there'd be a time when it was time to come back, and I think that's why a lot of the other districts are having shortages. For us, it's more just the largeness of our district and having to go such large distances, and as we get more schools, we're gonna build out, you know, we're gonna add another little bus depot on the new high school property that will help create some shorter traffic or travel times for our bus drivers.
Cause I'm sure that that's not helping though, the longer bus times. I'm like I said, my kids used to ride the bus.
Most of them
and
are,
now
I
they
mean,
don't,
most
so.
of them are very reasonable. I mean, most bus rides are very reasonable for kids. We have some up in the Lyons area and some up in the Mead area that are a little bit longer, but within the Longmont boundaries and Erie boundaries, because the proximity of schools are all,
Right.
so, but yeah.
Thanks, Don, very much.
Yes.
Stick around.
I will, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, next is going to be, two proclamations. The first is going to be our National School Resource Officer Appreciation Day, which is Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. And I've asked Trustee Harris to read that proclamation, and then we'll move on to our Colorado Engineers Week, February 19th through the 25th.
National School Resource Officer Appreciation Day Proclamation, February 15th, 2023. Whereas the National Association of School Resource Officers, (NARSO), is dedicated to making schools and children safer by providing quality training to school-based law enforcement officers. Whereas school resource officers, SROs, bridge the gap between youth and law enforcement and embrace the triad concept of school policing, serving in informal counseling, education, and law enforcement roles to support students and the communities that they serve. Whereas by training law enforcement officers to counsel, educate, and protect school communities, the men and women of NASRO continuously lead by example and promote a positive image of law enforcement to school children and school communities. Whereas school resource officers are valuable and essential members of the education community and deserve unwavering respect and support from the communities they serve in the pursuit of keeping schools and students safe. Now therefore, Colleen Whitlow, Mayor, does hereby designate February 15th, 2023 as School Resource Officer Appreciation Day, given under her hand and seal of the town of Mead, Colorado on this 13th day of February 2023.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the signing of this proclamation?
I'll move to sign the proclamation.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Farr,
Yes.
Trustee Schranz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
Trustee Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
Trustee Broadhead.
She is left.
We lost her again,
Yes.
okay. Mayor Whitlow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, motion carries. Thank you again for Chief, your SROs, Commander. Thank you very much. We'll be over there to get cake and we'll get photos here with Dawn and Sarah if she would like to. We're gonna move on to the next proclamation and then we're gonna take a break for some cake. Okay. Trustee Schranz, will you please read the proclamation for Colorado Engineers Week, February 19th through the 25th?
Yes. Colorado Engineers Week Proclamation, February 19th through the 25th, 2023. Whereas engineers use their scientific and technical skills in creative and revolutionary ways to fulfill society's needs. And whereas engineers work on many major technological challenges of our time, such as rebuilding towns devastated by natural disaster, cleaning up the environment, assuring safe, clean, and efficient sources of energy, and designing information systems that will propel our state and country into the future. And whereas engineers are encouraging young math and science students to recognize the practical applications of their knowledge, and whereas the American Council of Engineering Companies encourages and inspires young people to pursue careers in engineering because we face the challenge of the 21st century. Skilled engineers will be vital to our future. Now, therefore, Colleen Whitlow does hereby designate the week of February 19th through the 25th, 2023 as Colorado Engineers Week, given under her hand and seal of Town of Mead, Colorado, on this 13th day of February 2023.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the signing of this proclamation?
I will motion to approve the signing.
Second?
Roll call please.
Trustee Adams,
Yes.
trustee Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cartwright,
Yes.
trustee Trans,
Yes.
trustee Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you, motion carries. We're gonna take a short break, to thank and celebrate our student resource officers and our wonderful town engineers. So for those who are with us virtually, just give us a few minutes here in the town and we're going to, take a few, minutes to celebrate our community.